The hospital ceiling had the same water stain I remembered, a brown blotch shaped like a twisted butterfly. My fingers gripped the thin sheets as reality crashed over me like ice water. I was alive, again. 3 days ago, I had been Amanda Foster, 24, lying in this exact bed with Ashley's medicine burning through my veins. 3 days ago, I had trusted my stepsister's gentle smile as she pressed the syringe into my IV line, whispering how sorry she was that I'd gotten so sick after our father's funeral. "Amanda? Oh, thank God you're awake!" Ashley's voice rang with perfect concern as she rushed to my bedside, her designer heels clicking against the linoleum. Her blonde hair was perfectly curled, her makeup flawless despite the early morning hour. The doctors weren't sure. "Your fever was so high." I stared at her face, the same face that had watched me convulse and die just hours before. But this time, I knew. This time, I remembered everything. "How long was I out?" My voice came out hoarse, exactly as it had before. 2 days. You've been unconscious since the funeral reception." Ashley squeezed my hand, her green eyes glistening with fake tears. "I've been here the whole time. I couldn't bear to lose you too, not after Dad." The same lies, the same performance. In my previous life, I had been so grateful for her devotion, so touched that my stepsister cared enough to stay by my bedside. I had never questioned why I'd gotten sick so suddenly, or why Ashley had been the one to find me collapsed in the kitchen. "The inheritance," I whispered, letting my voice trail off as if I was still confused. Ashley's grip tightened almost imperceptibly. "Don't worry about that now. You need to rest and recover. There's plenty of time to sort through Dad's affairs later." But there wouldn't be. In my previous life, I had died 3 days after this conversation, never knowing that Ashley had forged documents to steal my half of Father's $20 million estate. Never knowing that she had already purchased her dream mansion with money that should have been mine. Never knowing about the 7 bodies buried beneath her new home's marble floors. The memory hit me like a physical blow, not from my previous life, but from something deeper. A voice in the darkness between death and rebirth, ancient and knowing. She has done this before, 7 times before. You are not her first victim, Amanda Foster. I should call the doctor, Ashley said, already reaching for the call button. They'll want to run more tests. No. I caught her wrist, feeling how cold her skin was. "I'm feeling better, much better. Actually, I think I'd like to go home soon." Ashley's smile flickered just for a microsecond. She had been planning to keep me weak and bedridden for another day, long enough to finish transferring the assets. "Are you sure? You gave us such a scare." "I'm sure." I met her eyes directly, seeing the calculation behind her concern. "You've been so good to me, Ashley. I don't know what I would do without you." The relief that washed over her features was almost comical. She thought she had won again. Over the next hour, I played my role perfectly. The grateful, trusting stepsister. Weak, but recovering. I asked about the funeral arrangements I had supposedly missed, nodded along as Ashley recounted her fabricated vigil by my bedside, and even thanked her for handling all the paperwork while I was unconscious. But my mind was working frantically. The supernatural knowledge that had come with my rebirth was fragmentary, but clear. Ashley had killed 7 people over the past 5 years. All of them had trusted her. All of them had something she wanted. And all of them were now buried in the basement of the mansion she was planning to buy with my father's money. When the doctor discharged me that afternoon, Ashley insisted on driving me home to the family house where we had both lived since our parents' marriage. She chatted brightly about taking care of me, making sure I ate properly, helping me through my grief. "Oh, I almost forgot," she said as we pulled into the driveway. "I found the most amazing property yesterday. It's been my dream home for years, and it just came on the market. I was thinking, after everything settles, maybe I should make an offer. My blood went cold. It was starting exactly as before. A new house? I asked, injecting just the right amount of weak curiosity into my voice. It's this gorgeous estate on Millbrook Drive. You know, where all those tech executives live. 22 rooms, marble floors, a wine cellar, guest quarters. Her eyes were practically glowing. I'd love to show it to you once you're feeling stronger. The same house, the same excitement, the same trap. But this time, I would be ready. That night, alone in my childhood bedroom, I sat at my laptop researching everything I could find about 1247 Millbrook Drive. The public record showed it had been sold and resold 6 times in the past 5 years, an unusually high turnover rate for such an expensive property. Each previous owner had lived there less than a year before disappearing or dying under mysterious circumstances. The current seller was listed as Estate of Rebecca Martinez. I found Rebecca's obituary from 3 months ago. Beloved daughter and successful entrepreneur, found deceased in her home from apparent natural causes. No family survivors. No family survivors. Just like the others, I was willing to bet. My phone buzzed with a text from Ashley. Feeling better? I made an offer on the house. So excited to show you around once the papers are signed. You're going to love it. I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. That's wonderful. I can't wait to see it. She had no idea that I already knew exactly what was beneath those beautiful marble floors. 7 bodies, 7 victims who had trusted Ashley the same way I once had. But this time would be different. This time, I would let her show off her dream mansion. I would smile and compliment the decor and admire the expensive furnishings. I would even help her celebrate her new home. And then, when she least expected it, I would make sure the police discovered exactly what lay buried in her basement. After all, what was the point of being reborn if you didn't use the advantage? Ashley wanted to show off her new mansion? Perfect. Let her dig her own grave. 2 weeks passed in careful performance. I played the recovering invalid perfectly, grateful for Ashley's attention, slowly regaining my strength, showing just enough grief over father's death to seem normal. Meanwhile, Ashley busied herself with legal paperwork and house preparations, her excitement growing each day. The closing is tomorrow, she announced over breakfast, practically bouncing in her chair. I can't believe it's finally happening. My dream home. I'm so happy for you, I said, stirring honey into my tea. You deserve something beautiful after everything we've been through. Ashley's smile was radiant. You're the best sister ever, Amanda. I promise, once I'm settled, you'll always have a place there. We're family. Family. The word tasted bitter. In my previous life, I had died believing we were family. This time, I knew better. That afternoon, while Ashley met with her realtor, I drove to the Riverside Public Library. I needed information that wouldn't show up in my browser history, and I needed it fast. The librarian, a grey-haired woman named Helen, helped me access newspaper archives and missing person databases. What I found confirmed my supernatural knowledge and added horrifying details. Rebecca Martinez, 28, software engineer, found dead in her kitchen from heart failure despite being in perfect health. No signs of struggle. Her multi-million-dollar startup mysteriously transferred to an LLC registered under a false name 3 days before her death. Before Rebecca, David Chen, 31, investment banker, died in his sleep from a brain aneurysm. His investment portfolio, worth $12 million, had been liquidated the week before his death. The money vanished into offshore accounts. Before David, Eleanor Vasquez, 26, pharmaceutical heiress. Accidental drug overdose. Her trust fund, $15 million, had been accessed using forged documents just days before her death. The pattern was sickeningly clear. Ashley targeted wealthy, isolated individuals. She gained their trust, forged documents to access their assets, then killed them using methods that appeared natural. No autopsies were ever performed because the deaths seemed legitimate. But the most chilling discovery came when I searched for the property's history. The mansion at 1247 Millbrook Drive had been built in 2019 by Ashley herself, using an inheritance from our grandmother, an inheritance I had never known existed. She had specifically designed the basement with reinforced concrete floors, claiming it was for wine storage. 7 victims over 5 years. 7 bodies buried in a basement she had prepared before she ever killed anyone. Ashley wasn't just a serial killer. She was a predator who had been planning this for years. My hands shook as I printed the evidence. Each victim had been young, successful, and alone in the world. Each had trusted Ashley completely before their death, and now she was moving into the mansion where their bodies lay buried beneath beautiful marble floors. Research project? Helen asked kindly as I gathered the papers. Something like that, I managed. That evening, Ashley returned home glowing with triumph. It's official! I get the keys tomorrow morning. Oh, Amanda, you have to see this place. It's absolutely perfect. I'd love to see it, I said. When can you give me a tour? This weekend. I want to throw a little housewarming party. Nothing fancy, just you and maybe a few neighbours. I want everyone to see how beautiful it is. A housewarming party in a house built on 7 graves. The irony would have been funny if it weren't so sick. Over the next 3 days, I watched Ashley prepare for her big move. She hired expensive movers, ordered premium furniture, even had a florist deliver elaborate arrangements. She was so proud, so excited to finally live in the mansion she had literally killed for. I helped her pack, listening to her chatter about decorating plans and garden designs. She never once seemed bothered by the fact that 7 people had died to make this dream possible. If anything, she seemed more energetic than I had ever seen her. You know what I love most about the house, she said Friday evening as we wrapped dishes in newspaper. The basement. It has these gorgeous marble floors that just gleam when you polish them. The previous owner said they were custom installed and cost a fortune. They were custom installed? Over 7 graves? That sounds beautiful, I said carefully. Can I see the basement when you give me the tour? Ashley's hand stilled for just a moment. Oh, the basement isn't really finished yet. Just storage space and some wine racks. Nothing interesting. Lie. I had seen the architectural plans at the library. The basement was fully finished with entertainment areas, a bar and guest quarters. Ashley simply didn't want anyone looking too closely at those custom marble floors. Saturday morning arrived crisp and clear. Ashley picked me up in her new BMW, bought with Rebecca Martinez's money, no doubt, and drove us through the expensive Millbrook neighbourhood. The houses were massive, each one set back on manicured lawns that ensured privacy. Perfect for hiding screams. There it is. Ashley pointed ahead to a stunning Tudor-style mansion with ivy-covered walls and leaded glass windows. Isn't it gorgeous? It was. Even knowing what lay beneath it, I had to admit the house was beautiful. 3 stories of elegant architecture, surrounded by formal gardens and mature oak trees. It looked like something from a fairy tale. A fairy tale built on 7 corpses. Ashley parked in the circular driveway and practically skipped to the front door. "Welcome to my new home," she announced, unlocking the entrance with a flourish. The interior was breathtaking. Soaring ceilings, crystal chandeliers, polished hardwood floors that reflected the morning sunlight. Ashley had already arranged some furniture, and everything looked magazine perfect. "The living room," she said proudly, gesturing to a space that could have hosted 50 people. "And here's the dining room and the kitchen. Oh, you have to see the kitchen." Room by room, she led me through her palace. The master suite with its marble bathroom, the library with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, the sunroom overlooking the gardens. Everything was flawless, expensive, and absolutely beautiful. Finally, we stood in the main hallway, and I noticed a door tucked discreetly beneath the staircase. "What's down there?" I asked innocently. Ashley followed my gaze, and her smile faltered slightly. "Oh, just the basement, storage and utilities. Nothing worth seeing." "I don't mind storage rooms," I pressed gently. "I'd love to see the whole house." For a moment, Ashley's mask slipped completely. Her green eyes went cold and calculating, and I saw the killer underneath the sister facade. Then she smiled again, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Maybe later," she said. "Let's go see the gardens first. They're absolutely stunning." As she led me toward the back doors, I memorized every detail of the house layout. The basement door's location, the fact that Ashley was clearly nervous about it, the way her whole demeanor changed when I showed interest in the lower level. She was proud of her beautiful mansion, eager to show off every room and expensive detail. But she would never willingly let anyone see what lay beneath those custom marble floors. Which was exactly why I was going to make sure the police saw them very soon. The housewarming party was scheduled for the following Saturday. Ashley spent the entire week obsessing over every detail: catering, decorations, guest list. She wanted everything perfect for her grand debut as the mansion's owner. I had other plans for that party. "I invited the Hendersons from next door," Ashley said Wednesday evening, checking items off her party planning list. "And Mrs. Chen from the garden club, and that lovely Detective Morrison who helped with the neighbourhood watch programme last year." Detective Morrison? Perfect. Ashley had unknowingly invited exactly the person I needed. "What a coincidence," I said casually. "Detective Morrison was one of the officers who investigated Rebecca Martinez's death, wasn't he?" Ashley's pen froze over her list. I wouldn't know. Why would you think that?" "Oh, I was just curious about the house's history. Rebecca seemed so young to die of natural causes." I kept my voice innocent, but watched Ashley's face carefully. It must have been traumatic for the neighbours, having someone die so suddenly in such a beautiful home. "These things happen," Ashley said stiffly. "Heart problems can strike anyone. The doctor said she probably had an undiagnosed condition." Lie. The autopsy report I had found showed Rebecca's heart was perfectly healthy. But Ashley couldn't know I had access to that information. "Of course," I agreed. "I'm sure Detective Morrison will have interesting stories about the neighbourhood. Police officers always do." Ashley's knuckles were white around her pen. "Maybe I should reconsider the guest list. Keep it smaller, more intimate." "Oh, no, don't do that. I think it's wonderful that you're connecting with the community. Besides, Detective Morrison seems like such a nice man. I'm looking forward to meeting him." The trap was set. Ashley couldn't uninvite a detective without seeming suspicious. But she clearly didn't want law enforcement anywhere near her house. I had put her in an impossible position. Thursday, I made my own preparations. I drove to the police station and asked to speak with Detective Morrison about a security concern regarding my family. Detective Morrison was a sharp-eyed man in his 50s with greying hair and a kind but observant manner. He listened carefully as I explained my worries about Ashley. "She's been acting strangely since our father's death," I said, letting genuine anxiety colour my voice. "Secretive about money, defensive about her new house. I'm probably being paranoid, but some of her behaviour reminds me of things I've read about financial fraud." "What kind of behaviour specifically?" Morrison asked, taking notes. "She suddenly had access to large amounts of cash. She keeps insisting our father left everything to her, but I never saw a will. And she gets very upset if I ask questions about the house's previous owner." I hesitated, then added, "I found out Rebecca Martinez died there just a few months ago. That seems like a strange coincidence." Morrison's pen stopped moving. "You're concerned about your sister's connection to Miss Martinez's death?" "I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining things. But Ashley never mentioned knowing Rebecca, yet she knew exactly which house to buy right after Rebecca died. It just feels wrong. I had planted the seed perfectly. Not enough to make accusations, but enough to make Morrison curious. And when he attended Ashley's party in that house where Rebecca had died, he would be watching everything with suspicious eyes. Friday evening, Ashley was a bundle of nerves. She changed the party menu 3 times, rearranged furniture obsessively, and snapped at the caterers over minor details. "I want everything perfect," she muttered, polishing the same crystal glass for the 5th time. "This house means everything to me." "It's going to be wonderful," I assured her. "Everyone will be so impressed, especially Detective Morrison. I bet he's never seen such a beautiful home." Ashley's grip tightened on the glass. "Why do you keep mentioning him?" "No reason. I just think it's nice that you're making friends with law enforcement. Makes the neighborhood feel safer." I smiled innocently. "I'm sure he'll love seeing the whole house. Maybe you could give him a complete tour?" "The main floor will be plenty," Ashley said quickly. "No need to bother with bedrooms or storage areas." There it was again. Ashley's desperate need to keep people away from the basement. The more I mentioned it, the more paranoid she became. Saturday arrived grey and drizzly, but Ashley's mood was determinedly bright. She wore a flowing emerald dress that matched her eyes and greeted each guest with radiant enthusiasm. The house looked magazine perfect, filled with flowers and soft music. Detective Morrison arrived fashionably late, bringing his wife and a bottle of wine. I watched Ashley's smile become strained as she welcomed them. "What a beautiful home," Mrs. Morrison commented, admiring the crystal chandelier. "How long have you lived here?" "Just moved in last week," Ashley replied. "It's been my dream house for years." "The previous owner must have taken excellent care of it," Detective Morrison observed, his trained eyes scanning the room. "Tragic what happened to her?" Ashley's laugh sounded forced. "Yes, very sad. But life goes on, doesn't it?" I drifted over to join their conversation. "Detective Morrison, Ashley was just telling me how she's been interested in this house for a long time. Isn't that remarkable? She knew exactly what she wanted." "How long had you been watching the property?" Morrison asked casually. Ashley's face flushed. I just drove through the neighborhood sometimes. Window shopping, you know?" "Of course. Must have been quite a shock when it suddenly became available." Morrison's tone remained friendly, but I could see him filing away Ashley's nervous responses. As the party continued, I made sure to steer conversations toward the house's history, Rebecca's death, and Ashley's remarkable luck in purchasing her dream home so quickly. Each topic made Ashley more agitated, her answers more evasive. The turning point came when Mrs. Henderson, the elderly neighbour, mentioned seeing Ashley's moving trucks at the house weeks before Rebecca's death. "I remember thinking how strange it was," Mrs. Henderson said innocently. "All those contractors working in the basement, but Rebecca told me she hadn't hired anyone." The colour drained from Ashley's face. "You must be mistaken. I only bought the house last week." "Oh, no, dear, I'm quite sure. It was definitely your trucks. I remember the green logo. They were there for days, working on something in the lower level." Detective Morrison's eyes sharpened. "Basement renovations? That's unusual for a house that was already finished." "I think you're confused," Ashley said desperately. "Maybe it was someone else's—" "No confusion at all," Mrs. Henderson continued cheerfully. "I even complimented you on the lovely flowers you brought Rebecca. Such a thoughtful gesture, especially since she passed away the next day." Perfect. Mrs. Henderson had just placed Ashley at the scene immediately before Rebecca's death, with evidence of basement work that Ashley had no legitimate reason to be doing. Detective Morrison was no longer making polite conversation. He was interrogating a suspect. "Miss Foster," he said quietly, "I think we need to have a more detailed conversation about your relationship with Rebecca Martinez." Ashley's composure finally cracked. I don't know what you're implying, but I don't have to answer any questions without a lawyer. The party had gone completely silent. Everyone was staring at Ashley, whose mask of innocent charm had dissolved into naked fear and rage. I think, Detective Morrison said calmly, we should discuss this privately. Perhaps you could show me that basement Mrs. Henderson mentioned? Ashley's scream of "No!" echoed through the beautiful mansion, finally revealing the killer who had been hiding behind sisterly smiles. The trap had sprung perfectly. Ashley's own pride in her dream house had become the stage for her downfall. Ashley's scream still echoed through the mansion as Detective Morrison spoke into his radio, calling for backup and crime scene investigators. The party guests huddled together in shocked whispers, unable to comprehend how the elegant evening had transformed into a nightmare. "You can't do this!" Ashley shrieked, backing toward the basement door. "This is my house, my dream home. You have no right." "Actually, I have every right," Morrison said calmly, advancing toward her. "Suspicious death of the previous owner, evidence of construction work before the purchase, witness testimony placing you at the scene. That's more than enough for a search warrant." Ashley's eyes darted frantically around the room before landing on me. For the first time since my rebirth, she truly saw me, not the weak, trusting sister she had manipulated, but the woman who had orchestrated her downfall. "This is your fault," she hissed. "You planned this whole thing, but you don't understand. You don't know what you're dealing with." I met her gaze steadily. "I know exactly what I'm dealing with, Ashley. I know about Rebecca Martinez. I know about David Chen and Eleanor Vasquez. I know about all 7 of them." Her face went ashen. "That's impossible. You can't know." 7 bodies, Ashley. 7 people who trusted you just like I did. 7 murders you thought you had gotten away with. I stepped closer, my voice dropping to a whisper. "Did you really think you could kill me and then parade around in a house built on my inheritance, dancing on the graves of your victims?" The basement door rattled as Ashley pressed against it, her last line of defense crumbling. "You died," she whispered. "I watched you die. The poison—" "Yes, you watched me die. You enjoyed it, didn't you? Seeing me suffer, knowing you had won everything?" I smiled, and Ashley flinched as if I had struck her. "But you made one critical mistake. You underestimated exactly how much I would remember when I came back." Detective Morrison had been listening to our exchange with growing alarm. "Miss Foster, Amanda, are you saying your sister attempted to murder you?" "She succeeded," I said simply. "Ashley poisoned me 3 weeks ago at our father's funeral. I died in the hospital while she sat beside my bed, holding my hand and crying crocodile tears. Then she forged documents to steal my inheritance and bought this house, the same house where she had already murdered 7 other people." More police sirens wailed in the distance. Ashley's eyes darted between the basement door and the approaching sounds of law enforcement. "You're insane," she said desperately. "You had a fever. You were hallucinating. I never hurt you. I love you." "Love?" I laughed, the sound sharp and bitter. "You mean the way you loved Rebecca when you brought her flowers the day before you killed her? The way you loved David when you convinced him to change his will? The way you loved Eleanor when you helped her accidentally overdose?" Detective Morrison was already on his radio again, requesting immediate coroner assistance and additional units. "Mum, I need you to step away from that door." "No!" Ashley's composure finally shattered completely. "You don't understand. I built this house. I planned everything. Those people deserved to die. They were weak, stupid, useless. I made better use of their money than they ever could." The confession poured out of her like poison from a wound. 7 murders. 7 calculated, premeditated kills spanning 5 years. The basement specifically designed to hide bodies. The inheritance frauds. Even her marriage to my father had been part of the plan, a way to gain access to wealthy social circles and identify her next targets. "I am brilliant," she screamed as the police surrounded her. "I created the perfect crime. No one suspected because you had never faced someone who knew your future," I interrupted. "But I did know, Ashley. I knew every move you would make because I had seen it all before. And this time, I was ready." The basement door burst open as crime scene investigators arrived with ground-penetrating radar. Ashley made one last desperate lunge for the stairs, but Detective Morrison caught her arm. "Ashley Foster, you're under arrest for the murders of Rebecca Martinez, David Chen, Elena Vasquez, and 4 additional victims to be determined. You have the right to remain silent." As they read her rights, Ashley kept screaming about her brilliant plans, her perfect house, her dream life that was being stolen from her. She couldn't comprehend that her own arrogance had been her downfall, that hosting a party to show off a house built on 7 graves had given me the perfect opportunity to expose her. The investigation that followed was swift and thorough. Ground-penetrating radar confirmed 7 burial sites beneath the basement's marble floors. Forensic accountants traced the money trail, connecting Ashley to each victim. DNA evidence linked her to multiple crime scenes. Most damning of all, they found Ashley's detailed journals hidden in the mansion's walls, 5 years of meticulous planning, victim selection, and murder methods. She had documented everything with sick pride, never imagining anyone would ever find her trophies. 3 months later, I sat in a courtroom watching Ashley's sentencing. She had tried every defense her lawyers could devise: temporary insanity, childhood trauma, even claiming I had somehow hypnotized her into confessing. Nothing worked. The evidence was overwhelming. 7 counts of first-degree murder, the judge announced. 7 counts of fraud. 7 counts of identity theft. I hereby sentence you to 7 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. Ashley's scream of rage and disbelief echoed through the courtroom. As they led her away in shackles, she turned back to me one final time. "This isn't over," she shrieked. "You think you've won, but you'll never be free of me. I'll find a way." "No," I said quietly, standing to face her. "You won't. Because unlike you, I don't need to kill people to get what I want. I just needed to let you be exactly who you are. A monster, so proud of her crimes that she couldn't resist showing them off." The mansion at 1247 Millbrook Drive was seized by the state and eventually demolished. The victims' families received compensation from Ashley's stolen assets. Rebecca Martinez, David Chen, Elena Vasquez, and the 4 others finally received proper burials and justice. As for me, I inherited my father's estate as he had originally intended. But more importantly, I had learned something valuable about the nature of justice and rebirth. Sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't about becoming a killer yourself. It's about letting your enemy's own evil nature destroy them. Ashley had been so proud of her beautiful mansion, so eager to show it off to everyone who would admire her success. She never realized that pride and vanity would be her undoing. In the end, she got exactly what she wanted. Everyone did see her dream house. They saw it, and they saw what lay beneath its beautiful floors, and they saw her for exactly what she was. 7 corpses under marble floors. 1 monster, finally caged forever, and 1 sister, finally free.